CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by the new Audi 90. It's everything you hoped driving would be. Miller Lite, proud sponsor of NFL Lineman of the Year. There's only one light beer, Miller Lite. And by Radio Shack, the technology store.
Back for the start of the second half here in Atlanta. The Falcons on top, 13-10, leading the Detroit Lions. And the most significant play in the first half, Danny, had to come with rookie quarterback Chris Miller finding Floyd Dixon in the end zone.
Chris Miller finally got on the board. He's finally successful in getting into the end zone. Here's the play. He goes deep down to Floyd Dixon. Floyd Dixon makes a nice little adjustment here to come back to the ball. But the key thing there, Chris Miller lofted it up just perfectly and hit him on stride. Boy, is that nice.
And talk about the reaction, Chris Miller. Reason to be excited with his first touchdown as a professional quarterback. And, of course, he's trying to get this team inspired and out of the lethargy that's plagued them all season long and, of course, accounts for that 3-11 record. Looking at the statistics, Chris Miller enjoys a statistical advantage over Chuck Long, but keep in mind, Chuck Long's receivers have hurt him.
His receivers have hurt him, James. They dropped 4 passes today. You add those in, his numbers will probably look just about like Chris Miller's.
And we're just about set to kick off the second half, and the Lions booted away to the Falcons. Settle takes it at the 8, and he's got room, and John Settle bangs his way up to the 30-yard line, but meeting him head-on was that man, Chris Sheffield again. Sheffield, 6'1", 200 pounds. I mean, he really gave John Settle a serious hit there, stopped him dead in his tracks.
He must be trying for that, what do they call it, the Tums Award? That's a headache award there.
1st and 10, ball at the 30 of the Falcons. Falcons lead it by 3 over the Lions. In motion, Kenny Flowers. Pitch back to Gerald Riggs, looking for some daylight, and sees none. Stopping him initially on the outside was Jimmy Williams, and Williams got a little help from James Griffin.
Poor blocking that time by Kenny Flowers on the corner. He tried to block Jimmy Williams, who got thrown to the ground, and as a result, Jimmy was standing right in Gerald's way. Gerald tried to avoid him, was unsuccessful in doing that.
First half numbers for Gerald Riggs.
11 rushes for 44 yards. So he's about on pace for a 100-yard game. I know the Falcons wanted to play Kenny Flowers a little bit more today to get a look at him. They wanted to find out what they've got in Kenny Flowers.
And on 2nd and 11, Riggs decides to get some of that yardage back. He's got daylight. And flags on the play. Gerald Riggs with a huge gain, stopped by Bruce McNorton. He got first down yardage and more, but let's await the referee's signal here. And the preliminary indication is that it goes against the Falcons. And boy, Gerald Riggs hates to see that.
Offensive holding, number 83, 2nd down, will be replayed.
And teammate Aubrey Matthews was the culprit that time.
That's right, a wide receiver. You say, why is a wide receiver holding? Well, he's got to do a stalk block downfield. There you see him on stalk block right there. And the result is sometimes that guy tries to twist away from you. You just grab a hold of that jersey for a second. You're not that good at holding because you're not an offensive lineman.
Stalk block?
The stalk block is when the receivers run down and try to cut off that defensive secondary man from getting to his running back once he's going downfield.
2nd and 13 for the Falcons. Ball on their own 26. Floyd Dixon wide to the right. Double receivers right for the Falcons. Miller back to pass. Looking downfield with time. Finds Riggs instead out of the backfield, and Riggs gets back near the original line of scrimmage. Jimmy Williams on the stop.
Jimmy Williams is playing exceptional football. He's on Gerald Riggs like sweat. Every time Gerald Riggs moves somewhere, Jimmy's tagging along. Now, that's the key to a good linebacker. That's why he should be in the Pro Bowl. But as he told us the other day, James, it's hard to get that kind of consideration when your team is 3-11.
Now, you talked about Jimmy Williams being on top of him like sweat. I like the comment you had earlier in the season. As close as
the Mosquitoes wrestling jacket.
All right. 3rd and 7. Ball on the 33 of Atlanta. Trips in. And flags on the play. Looks like Detroit was guilty that time.
Well, you're in a situation, if you're Chris Miller, you know that that defensive line really wants to get back there after you. So you give them the hard count.
False start on the offense, number 78, Third down.
Oh, they go against
Yeah, and every once in a while you catch your own guys doing it too.
Mike Canton, the guy being caught. Jimmy Williams, strong on the defensive end.
You see 62 tackles, as we said before. He's second on the Lions in total tackles, 3 sacks, interception. The key thing there is the sacks. Everybody looks for the sacks with the outside linebackers. They don't send Jimmy as much as the Lawrence Taylors of the world in terms of rushing the passer.
He's a young man. Any parent would want their son to grow up to be like. 3rd and 12. On the 28. Miller back to pass. Going deep. And it's incomplete. Intended receiver was Aubrey Matthews. And a few fans here thought that perhaps it's pass interference.
Yeah, but those fans don't make any difference when the officials don't blow the whistle. Question is here, though, did Aubrey Matthews juggle the ball? Well, he never really got both feet in bounds when he made the reception anyway. Tackle on the play by Bruce McNorton, number 29.
And Rick Donnelly back to punt. He's taken over the lead that is, in punting from Jim Arnold with his 47-yard offering in the first half. High snap, and he's not going to get a chance. He's going to have to run it. And the Lions take advantage of the high snap by the Falcons. And although the Lions will come away with excellent field position, Mark Nichols on the stop, it doesn't hurt Rick Donnelly's punting average at all, but I'm sure that's not what he's thinking about at this point.
No, he certainly isn't, but the problem that the Falcons are having today is Doug Barnett, their usual long snapper, is out. He's injured, and as a result, that causes problems. They've got Jim Laughlin, a linebacker, number 98, snapping for them. The end result being that Rick Donnelly had to become Kareem Jabbar to catch that snap alone.
And Detroit will take over on the Falcon 21-yard line, 12:54 in the third. And the handoff goes as he slips a little in the backfield that time, Pete Manley. Manley not getting as much running room on the end around as he would have liked because of the poor footing.
This is the 4th time also to be running an end around. I don't know why offensive coordinators, every time they get down on the 20-yard line, they reach into the bag of tricks, blindly reach into the bag of tricks for these kinds of plays. Just run the stuff that's been working for you. Keep it inside with your big running backs. That part of their game plan has been working. I don't know why you want to run a play like that. Take a chance of getting a big loss.
Brings up a 2nd and 8. Ball on the 19 of Atlanta. Play action. Long across the middle. Intended receiver out of the backfield was Gary Ellerson.
We'll see how important that first play is. All of a sudden, you've only picked up 1 or 2 yards on trying to run the in around. Now, 2nd down, you got to throw the ball. You're unsuccessful in doing that. 3rd down, now you have long yardage. Actually, the thing you want to do now is go to the end zone with the play rather than just trying to pick up the first down.
Brings up a 3rd and 8 situation. Ball is marked on the 19. The 5th drop ball thrown by Chuck Long to one of his receivers. 4 wideouts in for the Lions. Long out of the shotgun. With time, and it's batted down. Mike Gann got a hand on that ball, preventing the 3rd down conversion.
And had it not been for Mike Gann having stone hands, he would have had the interception on that one. But defensive linemen are not trained to catch footballs. They only train to do 2 things, tackle people and chase quarterbacks.
Nothing delicate.
No. There's no brain surgeons in that group.
I'll be sure and pass that along to Gann that you said it. It'll be a 37-yard field goal attempt by Eddie Murray. It's up. And it's no good, so Eddie Murray having his difficulties.
It appeared that kick may have been tipped just a little bit as well, James. We'll get a chance to see it when we get back.
Heisman winner Tim Brown in the Cotton Bowl, New Year's Day on CBS Sports.
I am master of ancient art of karate, kung fu, and the Chinese chuckle. But the one about the socializing, I always reach for a cold Miller Lite. Light tastes great, lightless feeling too. Hey, anybody want the pepperoni?
Ancient proverb, only one light beer, Miller Lite. Remember the day you took off your training wheels. Legs pumping, wind blowing, feet flying. You couldn't wait to see what you could do. If you're ready to feel that way again, you're ready for the new Audi 90. Driving is what you hoped it would be when you were a kid, on a bike, on your own.
It's a Radio Shack Merry Christmas.
Joey, it's time for bed. He hasn't put his Radio Shack spelling math down all day.
Spelling math turns learning into fun.
Radio Shack Spell and Math has 15 spelling and math games that educate during playtime.
Haven't you learned enough tonight?
Come on, fella, bedtime.
I'm not tired.
Bet your spelling math can count sheep.
Educational toys. Education through imagination. $9.95 to $24.95. Only at Radio Shack.
Detroit missed an opportunity to tie the ball game, so the Falcons still lead at 13-10, and somewhere behind that ball cover is a dome of the Capitol here in Atlanta. And Danny, although many people thought that today's game would not be a very good one, it has been a spirited first half.
It certainly has. But one other point, though, more importantly behind that is the airport. It doesn't look like there are going to be any flights getting out into this afternoon. This game has been surprisingly pretty well played by both teams. A few disappointments here and there with dropped balls on the part of the Detroit Lions, but overall they've given a good effort today.
1st and 10, ball on the 20 of the Falcons. Gerald Riggs, the ball carrier. He's got daylight, and Gerald Riggs heads to the sidelines right near that first down marker. And Danny, the field goal that we talked about, the attempt by Eddie Murray, you thought it was perhaps touched.
I thought number 98, Greg Brown, you'll see him slipping in here, might have tipped the ball, but he didn't. It cleared the defensive line, and it's just off by Eddie Murray. He's been having a tough year. One of the most consistent kickers in the NFL has been having an extremely difficult year for the Detroit Lions.
A 9-yard pickup by Gerald Riggs makes it 2nd and 1 for the Falcons. Ball on their own 29, 11:58 remaining in the third. Dixon in motion. Riggs, the ball carrier. Eric Williams on the stop, and Gerald Riggs, irrespective of the small gathering here today, continues to give his all-out effort. And talk about a small gathering, Danny. I guess this really determines, when you have a small crowd like this, whether or not you got pros out on the field who give their best.
Well, certainly that's one of the things that coaches look for, is regardless of what the circumstances, who are the guys that are going to play hard for you week in and week out, even when no one else wants to be there.
Atlanta, 2 of 8 on third down conversions. 3rd and 1. Riggs, the ball carrier. He's got it. Gerald Riggs to the left side of the line. Hard-working ball player indeed. And you mentioned that Riggs was one of the guys you talked with yesterday who, while would go out and give a good hard effort, was hoping to come away from the game injury-free.
Well, certainly that's the hope of every running back. Whenever you enter the field, you hope that you come out injury-free. And let's face it, they're heading into the offseason, much as these guys are.
Well, now, we've always been teasing Brent Musburger about his poor selection in hats. And now we know where he got the idea from.
Those guys are saying, thank you for your support.
Bartles and James. Dixon in motion on 1st down for the Falcons. Miller goes across the middle to Arthur Cox. And Cox ridden out of bounds by Dennis Gibson. Arthur Cox, a load. You say he's definitely what now?
Yeah. Jimmy Williams, the top of your screen, comes in on the blitz. Watch him get taken out there. I believe it's by Mike Ken. Excuse me, that's Michael Cofer, number 55. That gives Chris Miller all kinds of time to find his tight end, Arthur Cox. And boy, is he something else to bring down. James, you're right. He is a tackle playing tight end.
2nd and 5. Flowers. Dennis Gibson again. In on the stop that time.
He's adding to that team-leading total in tackles. Boy, that's some real alliteration, isn't it?
Let's take a look at Chris Miller. 10 of 21, 141 yards, 1 touchdown, and 1 interception. As you take a look at the team positions along the sidelines, talking with Gerald Riggs, and he's carried his load this afternoon.
He certainly has. It's time to give him a little bit of a break now.
3rd and 4. Ball on the 37 of Atlanta. 9:18 remaining. Miller, back to pass to Flowers. Looks to be complete. And he's short, it appears, from this angle of the first down by maybe a yard. Jimmy Williams in on the stop for the Lions.
Excuse me, James. I talked earlier about the field being very slippery. If you take a imaginary line and run it right past the numbers on the field, and the numbers out to the sideline is very wet, a little bit of a crown on the field, and as a result, that causes that rain to roll off to the sides.
Rick Donnelly, last time had difficulties getting the punt away. As a matter of fact, could not get it away as Jim Laughlin snapped it a little too high. He's got a poor groin muscle, Laughlin, that is. And Donnelly barely gets this one away under pressure. Manley. And Manley slips at about the 27-yard line. Frustrated indeed, but he's got a wet surface to deal with. Dan Shop on the stop, that is. Detroit will take
on hand so that you'll have enough for the oh what fun it is part. Happy holidays and thank you for your support.
I'm State Farm Agent Jim Cornwell. When I first insured John and Susan Rager, I told them my job was just beginning. Now there's a new car in the family, a new home, and a new Rager, John Lawton. We just got together for a family insurance checkup. That's State Farm's way of helping you keep up with all your changing insurance needs. Because if you're anything like the Ragers, things can change pretty fast.
And like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
Remember your first lesson in aerodynamics. The shape was so important. It had to be perfect. Because if it wasn't, it wouldn't fly. If you're ready for another lesson in aerodynamics, you're ready for the new Audi 90. Driving is what you hoped it would be when you were a kid, catching a ride on the wind.
South Carolina battles the Fighting Tigers at LSU in the Mazda Gator Bowl. Let the good times roll New Year's Eve day on CBS Sports.
Now, every once in a while on special teams, a special play happens. Here you see Rick Donnelly almost get his kick blocked by number 57, Vern Maxwell. Now, Vern's got to learn to go right to the tip of that punter's foot. That's when you pick that ball off, just like you want to take it off the tip of his toe.
1st and 10 for the Lions. Ball on their own 27. Ball carrier, Jones. And Jones with nowhere to go. Takes it up around the 30-yard line. Pickup of about 3. So take a look at Rick Donnelly. We talked about the NFL punting lead. Is at stake in this game here.
And it's changed hands. It's gone over to the side of Rick Donnelly, but only momentarily because Jim Arnold will get a couple of more shots at it before the day is over. There you see the difference. Really slim.
Well, the one punt that Rick Donnelly didn't get away may very well serve him well in the end. Pickup of 3, 2nd and 7. Ball on the 30. Long. Back to pass. Complete to the sidelines to Pete Manley. And Manley has the first down with that reception.
Pete Manley has really come along for the Detroit Lions for many years with him. He was a return specialist and that type of a thing. But boys, he's really come along in his development as a receiver. And there you see the numbers on him. This year, 1987, 57 receptions. That's almost twice as much as he's made in the past 3 years with the Lions. And look at that yardage total, 710 yards. That's getting it done.
1st and 10, ball on the 40, long, back to pass. Going deep, looking for a lead, he's got him. Gary Lee, with a great reception, takes it down inside the 10-yard line of the Atlanta Falcons.
Did you see how Gary just kind of casually flipped the ball back to the official after the big play?
Cool. A 54-yard pickup by the Lions. Chuck Long to Gary Lee.
Now, something is a little different here for Chuck Long than it was for Chris Miller. Chuck throws his ball a little bit more on a straight line. Result is it has to be a little bit tighter in there. Gary Lee makes the reception, though. And as I said before, gets that nice little action after he catches it.
Yeah, he's getting a few cheers along the sidelines.
That's his family from down here in Georgia.
Longest pass of Chuck Long's career. Ball marked on the 6, 1st and goal. And taking it straight ahead is Gary Ellerson. And Ellerson down to about the 2-yard line. 6:08 remaining in the 3rd quarter.
I I saw something on that play that leads me to believe that the Lions are going to be successful on this drive. Even though Gary Ellison was heading to the ground, he still had blockers up front, offensive linemen and tight ends, blocking their men into the end zone, something you really look for down here in the goal line.
Call it 2nd and goal, ball marked on the 2. And straight ahead with the score, Gary Ellison. Touchdown, Detroit.
I like that little roll out that he got, too. That's nice action. I have to speak to Gary about that as well.
Well, you said Detroit would be successful on this drive. There's Darryl Rogers. Quiet confidence being displayed there as his team moves ahead.
We had the big fellas up front teeing off. And you see Lomas Brown, number 75. He gets a nice block. Scott Barrows inside. Steve Mott. They all give him room to run. And Gary does the rest, and he shows them how to roll it out, too.
I like it. Eddie Murray, perfect with point afters as well. Keeps the string alive as Detroit moves on top by the score of 17-13. 5:35 remaining in the third, thanks to that man there, Gary Ellison.
We're not a company, but no company has more pride in what they do, or more pride in how well they do it. We offer you a meaningful and fulfilling future, one that goes far beyond the ordinary, one that brings with it the respect and admiration of Americans everywhere. We're not a company, we're your country. We're the Air Force, the Marines, the Army, the Navy. We're the Armed Forces. It's a great place to start.
Why is this man being so unfair to his wife? Enjoying his cold relief while she suffers, feeling no desire to sneeze while she stifles hers, without all the coughs and the runny nose that torture her night, resting in the same bed where she tosses and turns. Why? Because while she took a cold tablet, he took NyQuil. The nighttime sniffling, sneezing, coughing, aching, stuffy head fever so you can rest medicine. Now a new cherry flavor, too.
The Great American Face. Strong, sensitive. The Great American Razor. Actra Plus. Solid. With a Lubrasmooth strip for extra protection. The Great American Face deserves the Great American Shave. Actra Plus. Only from Gillette.
Today's copper top battery. So completely improved, it'll last up to 30% longer than the one we made just 3 years ago. Today's Duracell. Lasts 30% longer.
Heisman winner Tim Brown ignites Notre Dame against Southwest Conference champion Texas A&M in the Cotton Bowl. Let the good times roll New Year's Day on CBS Sports.
Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium, third quarter action. Detroit perhaps blowing his chance at the #1 pick in the NFL draft. They lead the Falcons by 4, 17-13. And this is what it's all about. The teams with the worst records in the NFL, the Lions, the Falcons, and the Chiefs, and the Lions right now on top 17-13. John Settle takes it across the 20 and run out of bounds at the 27-yard line. And for an update on what's taking place around the NFL, let's go to New York and Brent Musburger.
Well, James, the New Orleans Saints battling uphill have taken the lead on the Green Bay Packers. Mays runs in this touchdown. In the first half, Morton Anderson kicked 4 field goals. 19-17, Saints over the Packers trying to keep the heat on the 49ers. Back to James and Dan.
And Dan, you talked about looking at the Saints coming back again for the second week. It's a matter of attitude.
That's right, and you think about attitude, you think about people like Gerald Riggs, guys that know how to come back from adversity. Certainly the Saints have that, and they have a great running back in young Ruben Mays. 2 years ago, I predicted he'd be an all-pro.
On first down, Chris Miller going up top. And incomplete. The intended receiver was Aubrey Matthews. And we saw a shot of Gerald Riggs on the sidelines there. He's suffering from a case of double vision. Take a look at his stats. And he's been taking some serious shots, carrying the ball, as you saw, 15 times for 63 yards.
Well, the other problem is we talked about in previous weeks wearing those eye protectors that you see some of the players wearing now. I think Dennis Harrison, as a matter of fact, has one of those glass masks that goes over his eyes. Many times that's a result of getting poked in the eye, that double vision. That may be what Gerald Riggs is suffering from.
2nd and 10. Ball carrier is Flowers. And Flowers a pickup of a couple. Run down by Dennis Gibson. And Indianapolis trying to clinch the AFC East. Leads Tampa Bay by a touchdown in the third quarter. St. Louis must win this game. And Houston leading Cincinnati 21-7. They seem to be floating towards the playoffs.
Warren Moon must be hot today.
Kansas City and Seattle, they've got a game going there. That one in the third quarter, Kansas City on top by a touchdown.
Kansas City blowing its chance to get the #1 draft choice as well.
And Atlanta, 3 of 10 on third down conversions. 3rd and 6. Ball on their own 31. Going up top, looking for Charlie Brown, and Chris Miller did not have enough time to complete that play as Charlie Brown was showing frustration that the ball was thrown too soon.
James, the key there was number 57, Vernon Maxwell. Appeared that he was rolling across the line of scrimmage when the ball was snapped. Now everyone expects a penalty on this play. Watch, on the left side of the screen, number 57, he's rolling. Number 55, Michael Koper, he's rolling. The ball's not even snapped, and the officials don't pick it up.
So Rick Donnelly will get a chance to put his foot back into action. You see his numbers on the day.
And he's got a new snapper in Jeff Kewell, number 63. He replaces Jim Lofton, number 98, who replaced Doug Barnett, number 56. Those two first guys being out with injuries.
Pete Manley back deep for the Lions, and Donnelly gets this one away. Manley takes it at the 26. And Manley dropped at the 37-yard line, and it's a 43-yard punt by Rick Donnelly. And the Lions will take over when we come back.
Volkswagen engineers have spent years refining our front-wheel drive, rack and pinion steering, and four-wheel independent suspension. Because the engineers of Volkswagen believe it's not just how fast you go, but rather how well you go fast. 1988 Golf, only $79.90.
Someday, a pyramid will be built for the public good, not for evil. A pyramid that will protect you from catastrophe. A pyramid that will help you prepare for the future.
Today, the power of the pyramid is working for you at Transamerica.
When I played football, they called me a troublemaker. But really, I'm just a nice guy who likes to watch a game with a Miller Lite. I see you're drinking light too. Yeah, tastes great. I agree. But he drinks it because it's less filling. Tastes great. Did you hear that? It's less filling. Pretty strong words. It tastes great. Less filling. Tastes great. Less filling. Tastes great.
There's no argument. There's only one light beer, Miller Lite.
Is that a light beer you're drinking?
Yeah, it tastes great.
I agree, but that's not what he said.
Danny, I know we've got poor field conditions here, but a cracked playboard, is that carrying realism too far?
Well, that's Jim Hannafin holding the board. He's the offensive line coach for the Falcons, and I'm sure he's cracked it a little bit maybe on one of his players' heads. He's trying to diagram there the blitz that he just got in the previous series of downs, where you get those two inside linebackers coming on versus a 4-2 defense in a passing situation.
On first down, Chuck Long is going to go up top across the middle, complete to Gary James, and James has got room. And James roped down by Tim Gordon, but first down yardage and plenty more by Gary James.
Look at what Chuck Long sees. Gary James comes out of the backfield. Now watch him make his move right down the middle of your screen, turns around, runs that little stop route there, and then makes a nice move to avoid the tackle and heads downfield and picks up the necessary yardage for the first down. Tim Gordon on the stop, number 41 for the Atlanta Falcons.
So Gary James takes the ball into Falcon territory. Ball on the 43 of the Falcons. Long's going up top again. Looking deep for Manley. And a flag on the play. Covering on the play was Scott Case, and Manley excited saying, that's right.
Key there. Scott Case did not turn to look for the ball. He turned to look for the ball as a defensive back. You don't get that penalty. He didn't look for the ball. He just ran into Pete Manley, and the end result is he gets the penalty.
Defensive pass interference, number 25, touchdown.
And Scott Case, the fourth-year player out of Oklahoma, and Danny, you said a critical mistake.
Critical mistake. Watch him now. He's looking at the receiver, Pete Manley, all the way. He's afraid to get beat deep. He never turns around to look for the ball until it's too late. There you see him with the push, and that's why you get the penalty. Had he just turned around and looked for the ball, he has as much right to catch it as Pete Manley. He would have never gotten a penalty in that situation.
Instead, that costly mistake places the ball down on the 7-yard line of Atlanta. First and goal, ball on the 7. 3:34 remaining in the third. Chuck Long marking out the signals. Ball carrier, Jones. And Jones, maybe a couple along the left side of that line. And whatever yardage James Jones has gotten today has been hard-earned short yardage at that.
And that time they tried to run the toss play outside. And I don't know if James Jones has the kind of outside speed you have to run that kind of a play. But certainly he gave it a valiant effort. But every now and then you need a guy that runs that 4.5 40 to take it around the corner for you. And that may be something that the Lions are looking for in the draft, that one running back with that blazing speed.
Second and goal, ball marked on the 5. Out of the pro set, Long throwing for the corner, looking for Manley, incomplete. Threw it too long that time, and on the cover, Bobby Butler, 7th-year player out of Florida State. And Pete Manley, he's having himself a fantastic year, 13th in the NFC in scoring, 4th in pass receptions coming into the game, and 9th in receiving yards.
Well, you have all those numbers, don't you? Hey, James, the Atlanta Falcons feel that Bobby Butler is quite possibly one of the better players in their secondary, and they really miss Brett Clark, who's the kind of the leader back there for them, if you will, in that secondary of their defense. He was out after the second game of the regular season against Tampa Bay with a broken leg.
Trips in for the Lions, 3 receivers for the Lions. Long throws it across the middle, and it's incomplete. The intended receiver was Gary Lee. And Lee was trying to cut back across the middle. It appeared as if he may have had the ball momentarily.
But Scott Case was on the case that time. We're going to get a chance to see an isolation here. Watch Scott Case, number 25. He gets in and makes a great defensive play, as well as 41 Gordon. They just kind of squeezed him in the middle, and Gary Lee, not concentrating on the ball, thinking about the defensive backs, drops the football.
That was a touchdown, and the 6th drop pass by a Lion receiver today. Eddie Murray, therefore, will come on with the field goal attempt, a 23-yard attempt. It's up, and it's good. So Eddie Murray salvages something from the Lions' drive as he boots the 23-yard field goal. And the Lions take a 20-13 lead. And Danny, again, some consolation because that was indeed a touchdown pass.
It was. Gary Lee should have had the touchdown pass. I gave Scott Case in that situation a little bit more credit than he deserved. He really didn't have the coverage on Gary Lee. Gary Lee should have scored the touchdown. And I'm sure that's exactly what Darryl Rogers is going to tell him when he gets to the sideline.
And a big holiday weekend of action lined up for you here on CBS, starting with New Year's Eve. It'll be the Mazda Gator Bowl. South Carolina, ranked 9th in the country, will take on 7th-ranked LSU. That's coming your way New Year's Eve. And then, of course, on New Year's Day, the 52nd Cotton Bowl Classic. The Fighting Irish and Notre Dame take on Texas A&M. Big lineup here on CBS starting New Year's Eve.
James, who can forget the last Cotton Bowl at Notre Dame was in January 1st, 1979. Joe Montana led Notre Dame to a 35-34 victory over the University of Houston. Texas A&M's got Jackie Sherrill. He's taken the Aggies to 3 Cotton Bowl appearances.
And another low kick that time picked up by the big fella, Arthur Cox. And it looks like Cox fumbled the ball. And Tony Page on the recovery for the Lions. So the Lions come away with yet another opportunity.
And Tony Page, the offensive guard playing in the backfield, picked up the fumble, and he's going to take that ball home with him, and nobody's going to take it away from him, believe me.
And certainly if you judge by the performance of the Lions players on the field, they are not thinking at all about that number 1 pick. They want to win this game.
No, they're not. Now, Atlanta has started making miscues, and the Lions are just jumping all over every opportunity, and there you see Tony Page, number 49, being alert and grabbing the ball.
Lions take over at the 47 of Atlanta. 2:35 remaining in the third. On the ground again, Gary Ellison. And Ellison straight ahead. Pickup of about 4.
James, that was another clear-cut example of how come the backside blocking on a play is so important. Now, you talked about the front side. That's where the back is supposed to go. When he's able to cut that ball back over the other side of the line of scrimmage, that's the backside blocking. Now, you cut those defensive people off on that backside, it gives a guy like Gary Ellison an opportunity to make that read and run to the daylight. People always talk about daylight. That's where it's at sometimes on the backside of the offense.
Well, that daylight gave Ellison an opportunity to pick up 3, as they call it. Make it 2nd and 7. He'll get an opportunity again. Trying to turn the corner, stiff arms a player and dives straight ahead. Gary Ellison showing good 2nd and 3rd effort.
And a good stiff arm. He just threw Joel Williams, number 54 of the Falcons, to the ground. Unbelievable stiff arm. That's the kind of reminds you that Walter Payton move where Walter used to stick that arm out and just put it right in the guy's face and fend him off.
Danny, that's got to be frustrating to have a stiff arm come at you.
Yeah, and well, the most frustrating thing is to get thrown to the turf. You don't mind if you're able to hang on, but don't throw me to the ground.
Well, that stiff arm was good enough to allow Ellison to pick up an additional 6 yards on the play. It's 3rd and 1. Ball on the 39 of Atlanta. And Ellison will get the call again. I'm not so sure he picked up anything on that one. Greg Brown in on the stop for the Lions.
This one's going to be kind of tight. This is going to call for a measurement from the sideline, I'm sure.
And the stop that time made low around the kneecaps.
Best way to bring one of those big guys down.
Take a look at Darryl Rogers. Said he feels very good about where he's heading. He knew this was going to be a long-range project, and indeed, the Lions did not make the first down.
And they're going to go for it on 4th down, apparently, because they have not sent in the punting team. Now, remember, back in the first quarter, they were in the same situation. And they were unsuccessful in going for the first down.
Darryl Rogers not playing the part of Mr. Conservative here. 4th and less than 1. Ellison, the ball carrier, he's got it, and more. Gary Ellison with the first down gain. Scott Case on the stop. And I talked earlier about Darryl Rogers feeling comfortable about where he's heading. He likes the direction that his team is heading in right now. That's the end of the 3rd quarter with the score, Detroit 20, Atlanta 13.
This is CBS. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League is sponsored by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? Duracell, introducing freshness dating from Duracell. Now there's a date code on every new pack. And by Atra Plus from Gillette, the essence of shaving.
Well, it's a rainy day in Georgia here, and the Falcons are on the losing end right now to the Detroit Lions, trailing by the score of 20-13. And the Lions have the ball at the Falcons 32. Start of the fourth quarter here. Jones, the ball carrier, still on his feet, trying to bull straight ahead. Trying to rope him down was Joel Williams.
Not a bad running philosophy to try down in this area of the field, though. I'd like to see that out of the Lions more so than I want to see the trickery, you know, the trying to run the in reverses and those types of things. This is where the meat and potatoes of their offense is, and running those two big backs out of that backfield. That's what's going to work for them. They got the guys up front blocking well. Why not give them a shot at it?
As the officials bring on a dry ball here with the rains falling again, 2nd and 6. Ball on the 28 of Atlanta. And straight ahead that time was Gary James. Joe Costello on the stop. And actually, it looked as if that might have been
Joe Costello on the clothesline. He really hung out Gary Ellerson. Joe Costello is out of Central Connecticut State. Guys out of Central Connecticut State are not supposed to hit like that.
And thanks for the correction. Indeed, that was Gary Ellerson as opposed to Gary James on the carry. Nonetheless, a hard stick by that Central Connecticut grad. 36. Ball on the 28. Out of the shotgun. Wilfo trying to turn the corner. Doesn't make it. Thrown out of bounds by Scott Case, who seemed to vent a little frustration as he threw Wilfo out of bounds.
And he was riding the bull, too. It looked more like a rodeo move.
So Eddie Murray will get an opportunity to atone for a couple of earlier misses.
And more importantly, put the game more than a touchdown out of reach for the Atlanta Falcons. If he makes this field goal, suddenly the Lions are up by 10 points. So the Falcons need more than a touchdown to win.
It'll be a 46-yard field goal attempt by Eddie Murray. It's up. And it's good. So Eddie Murray, with a 46-yard field goal, allows the Lions to expand their lead to 23-13.
Car and Driver calls it one of the 10 best cars in the world. Road and Track calls it one of the 10 best values in the world. We simply call it Ford Taurus.
Winning the world over. You're winning. Have you been behind the wheel? Oh, winning the world over. Have you driven a Ford lately?
It's party time!
24C, Ricky.
Hey, no Seagram's Golden Wine Cooler? You guys want to put me out of a job? Oh, goodbye. So, you know where it's coming?
No. I knew they were coming.
You must be doing something right.
You did one thing right.
You came home for the holidays.
This NFL game summary is sponsored by Seagram's Coolers. This is where the fun starts.
Well, not an awful lot to cheer about if you're an Atlanta Falcon fan. Your team trails 23-13, and perhaps in the nearby future there may be a few more things for the Falcons to cheer about as they're talking about a new home here in Atlanta, Danny.
That's right. They call it the Georgia Dome, and it's due to be completed in 1991. Artist renderings inside show us what it can be. They're expecting Super Bowls, NCAA tournaments, and everything else here in the state of Georgia, more particularly in the city of Atlanta.
And for the diehard fans here today, they're just hoping that they can get an Atlanta Falcon team that can play well and make this new home someplace to go to.
Well, certainly to pay for it, Rankin Smith, the owner of the Falcons, knows that he's got to get people to buy these boxes, and that's got to happen for him if it's going to be an economic success.
Thus far in today's game, of course, we mentioned the Falcons, they do trail 23-13. And Chris Miller has been at the helm for the Falcons, but unable to really get them going strong as of yet. John Settle on a return for the Falcons, takes it across the 20-yard line. So John Settle gives the Falcons the ball at about the 23-yard line. And the Falcons will have 13 minutes and 17 seconds remaining to try and generate something and come out on a winning end.
James, we talked about survival and job security and those kinds of things. John Settle is one of those guys that has to be a consideration of his. He knows that Kenny Flowers, a young running back out of Clemson's in that backfield now. He's got to show well today.
Miller looking to the sidelines for Kenny Flowers, overthrows him. And I'm wondering if Chris Miller may be having some problems that is gripping the ball. It is raining out there. His stats on the day, 12 of 26 for 150 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception. I guess if there is a plus as far as the performance by Chris Miller today, he's used 8 different receivers. He's spreading the ball around.
And the guys from Oregon, he shouldn't have any problem passing in the rain.
2nd and 10, ball on the 23 of the Falcons. In motion, Matthews. Flowers, the ball carry, turns the corner. And Kenny Flowers, pickup of about 5 before being stopped by Shelton Robinson.
One interesting thing that I haven't noticed until this point is we haven't mentioned Jerry Ball's name, the nose tackle for the Detroit Lions. Jerry's generally very active in the football game, but today's been relatively quiet. I don't know if he's even got a tackle today so far.
Is that a little credit to Wayne Radloff?
Exactly. Wayne Radloff, the center of the Atlanta Falcons, probably doing a great job inside today.
3rd and 5, Atlanta, not very productive. 3rd down conversions, only 3 of 11. Ball on their own 28. Out of the shotgun. And Charlie Brown looks as if he started 12 minutes before the play. And flags are everywhere.
Ricky Smith is going to get the face mask penalty on John Settle. Ricky reached in and grabbed the face mask trying to bring John to the ground. Can't do that. That's a 15-yarder, no doubt.
Was that after Charlie Brown took off seemingly before the snap?
Yes, I believe so, because the flag came in so late. Excuse me. There are actually 2 flags down. One on the line of scrimmage, that's Charlie Brown's flag, and the other one is Ricky Smith's.
Was offside. The defense had an incidental face mask. Therefore, the play will be rerun, and they will offset each other the fouls.
So we'll have a 3rd down situation again. Incidental face mask.
Yeah. How could it be incidental when the guy's grabbing you and trying to rotate your neck 360 degrees? I know what it is. He didn't mean to do it. That's the key.
How do you read that? So it'll be 3rd and 5 again for the Falcons. Ball on their own 28. 12:21 remaining in the contest. 3 wideouts out of the shotgun for the Falcons. And Miller will not get this one away as he's in the grasp. Curtis Green for the Lions. It's credited with the sack. And Miller, doing his best to stay in the pocket, is sacked for the 2nd time today.
He gets some outside pressure from the top of your screen, number 62. That's Curtis Green. Makes that little inside move and slips off, actually knocks the guard down there. And now he's got a free shot at Chris Miller. Chris is doing the smart thing, though. He's trying to sit in that pocket till the last minute. But every now and then you got to get rolling because the big guys want you.
So that brings on Rick Donnelly to do the punting for the Falcons. Back deep is Pete Manley. And Manley, the ball rolls. So Donnelly's average will be helped with that roll as it goes down to the 31-yard line of the Lions. So the Lions will take over with the ball on their own 31, and they're on top by 10.
Like Larry, Moe, and Curly, fast cars and fancy shoes. Like Buffalo Bob and a lucky dog, and like cats who sing the blues. I'm an American original, the first draft beer in a can, tapping ice cold Coors with a friend of yours.
Brewery fresh draft beer in bottles and cans. That's been Coors for over 25 years. Taste the original today.
Put a 12-ounce keg in your hand.
Users of nasal sprays invariably encounter the same problem.
Warm, boys.
Sprays that roll out of their nose or drip back into their throat. To avoid this, they'll do just about anything. But now there's new Sinex Ultrafine Mist. Its medicine doesn't roll out or drip back. It goes up and stays up, and that makes it better. So try new Sinex Ultrafine Mist. It goes up and stays up. From Vicks, of course.
These days, you gotta stay on top of things, because times have changed. This small pickup, the Ford Ranger, now outsells Toyota. And what's more, Ranger has more features and a lower sticker price than Toyota. Features like tachometer, interval wipers, and light group. Plus, Ranger's got a fuel-injected engine. And to top it off, Ranger has a 6-year, 60,000-mile powertrain warranty. Toyota doesn't. Sorry to burst your bubble, Toyota, but Ranger's on top now.
Now, during Ford's Leadership Celebration, get $500 cash bonus on new Rangers.
Two of the fiercest teams in football, the Bears, playoff bound and hungry, collide with the Raiders on CBS Sports next.
So the Detroit Lions have had a little bit to smile about, principally in the form of running back Gary Ellison, who scored 2 rushing touchdowns today, and Eddie Murray making amends for a couple of missed field goals. He's booted 3, and the Lions lead it by 10. Butch Wilfolk, the ball carrier for the Lions, and he's picking his way nicely, heading about 3 yards shy of the first down marker.
James, I spoke earlier, outside speed, Gary James turning the corner, much like a guy like Gerald Riggs would do. He's been out with the injury. We said the double vision. That time, Butch Wilfolk showed why he has that outside speed. He was able to turn the corner and get upfield. That's what made the play a success. 2nd down and 1 yard to go for the first down.
And as you mentioned, the Falcons being hurt certainly by the absence of Gerald Riggs. Having been out of the ball game, suffering a little bit with the double vision problem. So it's 2nd and 2. Ball on the 39 for the Lions. Ball on their own 39. Wilfolk, the ball carrier again. And a flag on the play as Wilfolk trying to find an opening. And the penalty is going to go against the Lions.
It's a holding penalty, and we'll find out who it's on here in a minute.
Offensive holding, number 52. 2nd down will be replayed.
And Steve Mott, 5th-year player from Alabama, on the hold that time. And Indianapolis looks as if they're headed towards the playoffs. 14-point lead over the Bucs. Dallas beating St. Louis, and certainly Minnesota will be pleased with that result if it holds up. Houston by only 4 over Cincinnati. And Kansas City beating Seattle by 14 points.
Mark Adick's offensive tackle, a 3-yard pass from Bill Kinney in that game.
On 2nd and 12, Long under pressure, trying to get rid of it. He's still got time. He decides to run it and gets knocked out of bounds. Looked a little meaner than it actually was as Scott Case tried to drive Chuck Long out of bounds with a mean forearm, but Scott Case weighs only 178. Chuck Long weighs 211 and didn't do much damage.
I'm not even sure if Scott Case got the best of that deal.
He did not.
He may be checking his own oil right about now.
So take a look at Scott Case weighing in at maybe every bit of 178. A case of maybe where a football player is padding the weight.
He's tough, though. I tell you what, he will come up and hit people. That's one thing you don't have to be afraid about with him.
Out of the shotgun, 4 wideouts for the Lions. And the handoff, inside handoff to James Jones. And Jones dashes over one, and a good second effort by James Jones gives the Lions a first down as he dives out of bounds just beyond the first down marker. Wilson on the stop. Bernard Wilson.
Nice little draw play here. Again, Jones heading towards the sideline, gets a couple of nice blocks up front, leaps over a couple of defenders, and then puts that shoulder down and gets the necessary yardage for the first down. He just jumped over David Crudup, number 30. David's still looking for him somewhere on about the 25-yard line.
And Seattle, losing this game by 21 points, can still get in the playoffs because of Pittsburgh's loss yesterday. But they may very well lose the home field advantage to Houston as we take a look at Gary Ellison. And Ellison running hard on the left side of that line. Gary Ellison's had himself a very productive day. And Philadelphia blanking Buffalo in the fourth quarter. Buffalo has not beaten the Eagles since 1973. Giants trying to close out on a winning note, leading the Jets 20-7.
That's the Who Cares Bowl.
And a 2-point game between the Saints and the Packers. Bobby Hebert to John Tice on a 5-yard touchdown in New Orleans. On top by 2. And Danny, again, you talked about they now have that winning attitude there. They can believe they can come back from any deficit. That is the Saints.
They've shown that they can.
2nd and 7. Ball on the 47. Ellison the ball carry again. Pick up about 3. And for a more definitive report on what's taking place around the league, let's go back to New York again and Brent Musburger.
James, they got a great game in New Orleans. The Packers have played very well, but the Saints, I want to tell you something. If the 49ers lose, look out for this New Orleans team. I'm not sure that they'll lose at home the rest of the way. It's 26-24 back, and we see that the Oilers lead the Bengals 21-17, and we also see 41-20, the Chiefs over the Seahawks. Back to James.
And Brent, certainly as you've alluded to, there are many people who think that the Saints could very well be the sleeper heading into the Super Bowl this year. 3rd and 4. Inside handoff to Woolfolk. Woolfolk looking for an opening. Still, second effort again, and Butch Woolfolk with good hustle and effort, ridden out of bounds by Rick Bryan, but it looks as if Woolfolk got enough for the first down.
Rick Bryan did something he probably shouldn't have done, and that's throwing Butch Woolfolk down to the ground after the play's been whistled did. Now, we talked about offensive linemen and getting dirty and playing on the natural turf in the rain. Look at Kevin Glover. That's what an offensive lineman likes to look like. That's when you know you've played, see? Get that dirt on there, you got everything going for you now. Oh, that's just wonderful. And he has been successful. He's been working it today. Look at those yards rushing for Detroit, getting back up to that average that they maintained over the last couple of games.
On 1st and 10, Long going up top. The intended receiver was Pete Manley, and no flag on the play as Manley tried to fake the ref out on that play with a little bit of Hollywood acting, and he's going to try and plead his case, but to no avail. I've never seen a flag come out after a player has screamed at an official.
Yeah, now Pete Manley went to Northern Arizona. He should have gone to UCLA. Up at the top of your screen, he didn't take good enough acting lessons. The key there, you see the defensive back looking back. Scott Case learned from his mistake in the previous couple of plays. He looks back to see where that ball is, and as a result, he doesn't get the penalty. And Pete Manley didn't realize, Pete, you got to learn the rules, guy.
No good acting classes at Northern Arizona, huh?
Yeah, got to go to UCLA to get those acting classes.
That'll bring up 2nd and 10. Gary Lee and Pete Manley both to the right. Ellison, the ball carrier. Still driving hard. Gary Ellison driving hard through the left side of the line. And again, very obvious that Darryl Rogers is not concerned with having his Lions lose this ball game to get the #1 pick. He says his team needs more bodies. And coming next on CBS Sports, the second half of our doubleheader, the Chicago Bears will be playing the LA Raiders, and the Raiders will be without Bo Jackson, and it will be the last regular season game for Mr. Sweetness himself, Walter Payton, your good friend.
Look forward to having a nice little celebration for him once everything is all over. We're going to do something special for him back in Chicago.
Woolfolk in motion on 3rd down. Woolfolk trying to find the handle, could not find it, as Scott Case didn't make matters any easier for him. That'll bring up a 4th down and punting situation for the Lions. And the diehards who came out today to see the Falcons and the Lions, official estimate was 13,906. Over 27,000 no-shows. And Danny, with the official estimate of 13,906, I would tend to think that's being a little generous. Well, the Lions opt not to go for the punt. They will be attempting, in the form of Eddie Murray, a 58-yard field goal attempt.
I would expect a fake here, though, James. Little pooch punt, there it goes.
And you called it.
And he did it. He kicked it into the end zone, bring it back out to the 20-yard line. Really didn't do him very much good.
So Eddie Murray with a 39-yard pooch punt. And the Falcons would take over at their own 20.
Sauvignon Blanc. Zinfandel. Cabernet Sauvignon. To all those who are coming home, and those we come home to, from Ernest and Julio Gao, all the best.
Now, especially now, you need an investment firm that is rock solid, strong, unshaken, with capital and clear vision for the bad times, not just the good. Prudential Bates Securities, part of the Prudential family, the firm foundation that keeps your investments on solid ground, armed with the resources to help you in ways no one else can, no matter what the investment climate.
Ready? Ready.
Prudential Bates Securities, rock solid, market-wise.
Next Saturday, look for the champions on CBS Sports. Center Charles Smith and power forward Jerome Lane give Pittsburgh one of the nation's most awe-inspiring front lines. But can the third-ranked Panthers control the central force of Dwayne Shensis and eighth-ranked Florida? Then CBS Sports Saturday returns. Michael Nunn defends his middleweight championship against Kevin Watts. Plus a preview of the NFL playoffs and a look at who's #1 in college football. A day of champions next Saturday on CBS Sports.
So the Falcons in trouble of duplicating last season's season-ending victory, losing by 10. And not only were heads covered up on the bench, but in the stands as well. And they come in young sizes.
It's pint size.
1st and 10, ball on the 20 for the Falcons. Miller back to pass. John Settle with a great snag as he pulls it in. Ridden out of bounds by Jimmy Williams, a pickup of about 5 on a play, and a good grab by John Settle.
When we talked to Chris Miller the other day, he said one of the things he noticed about the Detroit defense is the linebacker. You see him right in the middle of your screen, deep drops. You're able to throw underneath to your running backs. There he completes it to John Settle, and the guy that's got to make the play of the cornerbacks outside. Very difficult for them to do. Jimmy Williams makes that one, but he's all the way out to the sideline. He's got to come back in and make the stop.
And certainly some good game experience Chris Miller is gaining here. With that pass to Settle, Chris Miller has now used 9 different receivers. Back on 2nd and 5, going up top. Intended receiver was Floyd Dixon. Ricky Smith on the coverage that time.
Ricky Smith on excellent coverage that time. Reached back in and slapped the ball away from the receiver. That's what you look for out of your defensive backs, something that Detroit Lions haven't been getting all season long. Then you see the second half possessions of the Atlanta Falcons. Very, very dismal indeed. Haven't had a real bad field position, but just haven't done anything with it. You see the 3 and the 4-4, 3 and punt. Don't want to see that if you're on the offensive side of the ball.
So Chris Miller comes to the line on 3rd and 5, ball on his own 25. 6:39 remaining in the contest. Out of the pro set. Miller with time. And it's taken away by Ricky Smith. Smith still on his feet inside the 10. He's going to score. Touchdown, Detroit. A 34-yard return off of an interception by Ricky Smith, who just stole that pass, gives Detroit added cushion as they want to make this a convincing victory over the Atlanta Falcons.
Every now and then in the game of football, it gets down to a question of who wants it more. In that case, number 41, Ricky Smith, wanted the football more than the receiver did, and he just went out and took it away from him. That's something else that you look for in your defensive backs. That little bit of desire. Now, he really wanted that ball. He went back and got it. He's going to take it back to Detroit.
Murray with the point after.
Changes the Lions' first return of an interception for a touchdown since 1982.
So Eddie Murray with the point after makes it good as Ricky Smith comes away with his first touchdown return off of an interception to give the Lions that 17-point lead.
Here's a look at it from the end zone. Left side of your screen, Chris Miller drops back, looks left, still looking left. That's a key. Gives that defensive backfield enough of an opportunity to react. He just takes the ball away from the receiver, makes a nice run there, puts on the brakes, goes back inside, and now makes a couple of more broken tackles here. And just dives into that end zone. Now watch him carry this Sylvester Stamps number 29 on his leg. It's like having a little nap down there. Get off me.
And as much as Darryl Rogers was talking about how horrible his secondary has been all season long, he was very candid about that. Again, Danny, I mentioned that he doesn't see he being Darryl Rogers, a franchise type of player out in this year's college draft, so he needs bodies. What kind of bodies might he be looking for?
Well, he and the Atlanta Falcons both need bodies in terms of moving down in that draft. They may trade their draft choices up top to move down and get more selections in the upper rounds of the draft. Now, what kind of bodies do they need? Secondary, you mentioned already. Maybe a nice running back out of the draft. As we mentioned, somebody that runs that 4.5 40, 4.4 40, somebody like that. Another rushman along that defensive line wouldn't be bad to have, as well as an additional linebacker. So that's Darryl Rogers' small wish list for the draft.
We'll talk about Atlanta in a second. As Settle takes it, he's across the 20. Trying to turn the corner, John Settle up to about the 26-yard line. Well, Dan, you've scoured the college scene pretty well. Who do you see going in the top 10 selections in this year's draft?
I've also scoured the personnel directors around the league, and there's Tim Brown. I expect him to go number 1, number 2, somewhere in that area. Benny Blades out of Miami, excellent defensive back. Keith Jackson, tight end. Andre Bruce, his name is misspelled there, but he's out of Auburn. Outstanding outside linebacker. And Sterling Sharp, maybe just as good as Tim Brown.
That's amazing. You actually think Tim Brown may go as number 1, even though we mentioned and we heard the Detroit personnel people say you never take a wide receiver number 1. 1st and 10, ball on the 26 of the Falcons. Complete across the middle to Arthur Cox. And he's got the first down. It certainly appears to be that way from up here. And Danny, complete that list of yours in terms of top 10 draft choices. And we'll come to that after this play. Atlanta in the hurry-up offense. And will comply with the play-by-play. Flag on the play. Batted down by Jerry Ball. But there is a flag on the play. We'll await the call by referee Bob Frederick. 5:47 remaining in the contest. The Lions lead it by 17.
I believe that's
illegal motion, number 89 on the offense.
Answers that question.
And that'll move him back 5 yards. Danny, rounding out your draft list.
Ricky Dixon out of Oklahoma, another safety. Lorenzo White, a great running back out of Michigan State. Neil Smith out of Nebraska. That's the pass rusher that Marion Campbell may have been talking about. Guy 6'4", 260, runs a 4.5 40. Brad Muster out of Stanford, all-purpose guy. Could play H-back for anybody. Surprise of the draft, Scott Davis out of Illinois. DLR offensive tackle. Could go either way. 6'7", 260 to 270 pounds. Maybe a surprise. I got that one from Kenny Urach. The Atlanta Falcons.
On 1st and 15, Miller with 3 wideouts, and the ball is intercepted again. Jimmy Williams. And the ball went in and out of the arms of the receiver, and Jimmy Williams, on an alert play, snatches yet another pass away. The 3rd interception thrown today by rookie quarterback Chris Miller.
Some things you can do something about, and other things you can't. If you're the quarterback, you throw the ball in your receivers. They've got to catch the football. They can't leave it up for grabs like this. Gives Jimmy Williams the opportunity to make a very, very nice interception there and a little decent run back after that. Receivers have to catch the balls, especially when they're in the middle with that double coverage going around them.
Sylvester Stamps should have had that ball indeed. 1st and 10, ball on the 41 of the Falcons. Long pump fakes. Looking up top for Woolfolk, and it's intercepted. Tim Gordon across the 30. Still on his feet to the 37-yard line. Scott Barrows drops Tim Gordon. So Atlanta answers right back with an interception of their own. A 27-yard return by Tim Gordon.
James, as you said earlier, you're going to see the pump fake by Chuck Long there. That's trying to set up his receiver. The only thing is he sets up himself. The receiver's got the inside move there. He doesn't read Tim Gordon playing back in that deep second over there. He gets picked off, and Tim makes a nice run back here, and he gets drilled out of bounds just a second there by one of those big offensive linemen, Steve Barrows, number 61.
5:26 remaining in the contest. Atlanta takes over on their own 37. Out of the shotgun. Miller rolling left. Looking across the middle, and it's intercepted. James Griffin. And Griffin, backtracking, looking for room, is brought down at the 43-yard line. 3 consecutive interceptions we've seen in a span of about a minute and a half, as Chris Miller certainly is talking to himself. He's thrown his 4th interception of the afternoon. Tough going for Chris Miller.
We called it the Blunder Bowl earlier, and now you see why. 3 interceptions in a row. That's got to be an NFL record. There you see right in the middle of your screen, Floyd Dixon tries to come back to the ball. He's stripped of it. Griffin gets it. He heads back downfield. Now let's see if he picks up any blocks down there and see if his guys are taking care of him or not. Tries to come back and reverse the field. Not a smart move there. Now he says, oh, you better get back towards the end zone. Go down. That's the best thing you can do in that situation.
Turnovers in the last minute. 3, and that's got to be some kind of record. Long, staying safe, hands off to Gary Ellison. He blasts up the middle for about a 6-yard gain. Don't forget, coming up next here on CBS Sports, second half of our doubleheader, the Bears and the Raiders. And Danny, you mentioned at the Blunder Bowl, you can't get worse than this, and certainly this wasn't a part of Marion Campbell's game plan, because if in fact his team does lose and that Kansas City-Seattle score stays as it is with Kansas City winning, Atlanta will get the #1 pick in the April draft.
It's almost as Jimmy Williams told us yesterday. He said that's a disgrace to be on the team that gets the #1 choice.
Jones, the ball carrier. First down yardage plus some. Joel Williams on the stop. Atlanta trailing by 17 points as you take a look at Marion Campbell, who says, gentlemen, we have a bad football team. We need bodies as well, but we think we're on the right course, and you see the time remaining in the contest.
And Marion also said he needs a hot draft this year. He's got to get more than a couple of players out of that draft. Ken Herock, the personnel director down here in Atlanta, told me the same kind of thing. He's got to get at least 6 or 7 bodies out of the draft that are going to produce for them for at least 4 years.
There's a story about that man I want you to relay after this play. 1st and 10, ball on the 26 of the Falcons. Jones, the ball carrier, straight ahead. Gain of about 3. And you mentioned the man here in the Atlanta organization who's going to be responsible for that. And we'll talk about that in just a second. But first, let's get our own scouting report from our #1 scout, Brent Musburger.
Jake, let me update a couple of stories for you. The New Orleans Saints punch one in now. They go up over the top. Hilliard takes it in. And they have taken control of Green Bay here in the second half. Meanwhile, the St. Louis Cardinals moments ago kick a field goal. 14-13. Dallas leads. Back to Jay.
And the long-suffering fans in New Orleans have been acting like college fans with plenty to cheer about with their Saints doing so well. 2nd and 6. Straight ahead on the ground. Lions keeping it down on the ground. Less than 3 minutes remaining. James Jones was the ball carrier. Again, you talked about the Atlanta personnel situation. There's a story behind that.
Well, Ken Herock is now their personnel director, formerly of the Los Angeles Raiders and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when Tampa Bay was having so much success. Marion Campbell mentioned that as one of the keys to, as we talked about at the top of the show, the new beginning here. Chris Miller, new quarterback, get that rolling for you, working for you. Guys like Charlie Brown, get those people working for you. And Rick Donley. And also, Ken Herock, go out and find that hot draft for me. I need that now.
And they can ill afford to make a mistake in the draft. 3rd and 5. Ball on the 21 of the Falcons. On the ground again, flags everywhere, play stop. And perhaps a delay of game.
The 30-second clock had wound down to 0. Here it is.
For the offensive team.
Again, Chris Miller, although not a good day by any stretch of the imagination, is getting some very valuable playing time. Coach Marion Campbell said he did not want to go into next season with Chris Miller being a rookie. He wants to give him some playing time.
And then you see he's talking to his passing coordinator, Rod Dowhauer, giving him that kind of instruction that he needs in this situation. We're coming up on the 2-minute warning, James. The clock is running.
And with that, we've got a timeout with 1:58 remaining in the contest. We'll be back in just a moment.
A lot of money for tuition. The U.S. Armed Forces. It's a great place to start.
It's the right place at the right time when the right day is a state of mind. It's a feeling that's all around. The silver bullet won't slow it down. So come on in the Coors Light. It's the right beer now to the good life, yeah. Good life, yeah. So come on in the Coors Light. It's the right beer now.
It's the best-selling vehicle of its kind in the country. Probably because it's beautiful to look at and exciting to drive. Rare qualities in a car, and even rarer in a wagon.
Winning the world over. Have you been behind the wheel? Winning the world over. Have you driven a Ford lately?
So the Lions enjoy a comfortable 17-point pad over the Falcons with 2 minutes remaining in the contest. And coming into today's game, Jim Arnold of the Lions led the NFL in punting. Rick Donnelly was in second place by 3/4 of an inch, if you will. He's now taken over the lead as of his statistics on today as you take a look at Jim Arnold. And Arnold was anxious to try and maintain that lead, but Rick Donnelly has moved ahead. 3rd and 10 for the Lions. Ball on the Falcons' 26. Woolfolk, the ball carrier, driving ahead. And if you think your dentist is making too big of a bite out of your pocket, watch 60 Minutes tonight on CBS. Then it's Murder, She Wrote, starring Angela Lansbury, followed by the CBS Sunday night movie, A Hazard of Hearts, starring Diana Rigg. That's all tonight on CBS.
James, as we wind down the season, I'd like to say it's been a pleasure working with you and Bob Monsbach, our producer, and Bob Bettine, our director, and all of our crew at CBS. It's been a great season for us. We really enjoyed it. We enjoyed the fan support even through all the trying times, strike, replacement season, and all the rest of that. It's been wonderful. Talk about some of those relationships between players and owners that have changed dramatically during the course of the year. Players versus players and all the rest of that. We'll get back to it in a minute.
4th down for the Lions. Inside handoff, and going straight ahead is Tony Page. And it looks as if it's close to the first down. No, not quite enough. Not quite enough.
And out of respect for Atlanta, Darryl Rogers decides not to go with the field goal. Atlanta comes on as a result of them Detroit not being successful in getting the first down. They get to run out the clock with 54 seconds remaining.
Well, Danny, you talked about what a good season we've enjoyed as a team here, and much like our rookie running back, in the person of myself doing NFL play-by-play, I appreciate all the blocking that you've done for me this year.
It's been a pleasure, believe me. You know, it's funny, Brent Musburger said earlier that this is the kind of year that deserves Indianapolis and New Orleans in the Super Bowl. It may well happen.
And Floyd Dixon on the receiving end at the 33, first down for the Falcons. Jimmy Williams on the stop, and you see the clock ticking away. Out of the shotgun with 3 wideouts, Miller. And Miller throwing in the direction of Floyd Dixon, and Dixon with not much incentive to go after that pass as he was well covered. 26 seconds remaining in the season, and here are the people who worked long and hard to put together another banner season for CBS Sports covering the NFL.
I'd like to thank all of them and say best of luck. Let's get to the playoffs now and see where all the interest lies.
2nd and 10 for the Falcons. All at their own 32. Miller looking up top for Dixon. He's got him. Dixon at the 45-yard and making the 47-yard line. Clock still running down. So Atlanta, if Kansas City wins against Seattle, will get the #1 pick in the NFL draft as Chris Miller throws his last pass of the 1987 season. And the Lions come out on top by the score of 30-17. And the Lions, so take a look at Coach Darryl Rogers, held true to form. He said he was not thinking about selecting first in this year's draft. He wanted a win. He wanted to close the season out and head into the summer on a positive note, and indeed they've done just that. So once again, our final score. The Lions come out on top by the score of 30-13. For Dan Jickets, this is James Brown saying so long from Atlanta, Fulton County Stadium. CBS Sports coverage of the National Football League will continue after this message and a word from your local station.
From the Great Wall to Wall Street, one airline brings our nation's business together throughout the U.S. and 13 foreign lands. United Airlines, rededicated to giving you the service you deserve. Come fly the friendly skies.
When you look for champions, look to the NFL on CBS Sports.
You mean to say there are dental clinics more interested in emptying my pocketbook than filling my teeth? That's exactly what we mean to say. 60 Minutes tonight.
This is CBS.